Church cares, and so does the St. Raymond Annadas Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. Hi, I'm Anne DeSantis, Executive Director. In 2015, the Mercedarian Friars came together because they wanted to start a foundation to help families in crisis. And that's exactly what we've been doing over these years. Whether it be something to do with divorce, separation, trauma, job loss, loss of a loved one, or other adversities, we've helped so many families get through those tough times through the spiritual works of mercy. We'd love to hear from you. Please do get in touch with us for our services. They are prayer, priestly consultation, podcasts and videos, and programs and events. We look forward to hearing from you. Just go to nonotus.org and get in touch with me. I look forward to hearing from you. God bless.
Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry present Journeys in Faith. Now, here's Anne DeSantis.
Good evening. Welcome to Journeys in Faith here on Fiat Ministry Network. This is Anne DeSantis in our third season, and I am so pleased to bring to you two wonderful guests. I've hosted them before for podcasts. Their names are Ellen Mongan and her husband, Deacon Patrick Mongan. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Glad to be here.
Oh, it's always an honor. And I really love the last time that we hosted you. And there's always so much more to talk about, right? Because every time we have a show, we have a different audience. There's different people watching, sometimes the same, sometimes new. But I would love to start out with your beautiful bio and then go right into talking about your life, faith, and mission, and also your new book, which you have to stay tuned to the very end of the show to learn about that new book. So Ellen Mongan is the host of 3 podcasts, Wow Mom, Deacon and Dear, and Take 5. All are found on YouTube under Ellen Mongan. She is a Catholic writer and speaker and a published author. Her Bible studies, Wow Mom, A Walk with God, and For the Mountaintop Retreats are written for women of all ages and stages of life. Who Will Wear the Crown is written for children. This book is one of her, quote, life lesson series that she also teaches the parents as they read to their child. Ellen is a monthly contributor to Catholic Mom at catholicmom.com and writes several of their daily gospel reflections each year. She also contributes monthly to the Augusta Chronicle newspaper weekly faith column. She has also blogged for Women of Grace, and the website is womenofgrace.com. Lastly, she is the founder of Wow Mom Ministry and Sisters in Christ Ministry. She has spoken on radio and television. Ellen has been married for 48 years to Deacon Patrick, who, of course, is on the show. And Deacon Patrick is also an MD, so we will talk about that as well. They have 7 children, 4 son-in-laws, 2 daughter-in-laws, a baby in heaven, and 15 grandchildren. The vocation of wife and mother led her to her ministry. This is the most important role of all. Ellen goes where God calls her to go and does what he asked her to do through his grace. Invite her to speak at your church, your women's club, or mom's group. Her website is ellenmongan.com. I'm so pleased to have you both back again. And also I want to thank you for having me, because you hosted me, Ellen, on your show. And that was a real blessing. So let's just start out with your life, faith, and mission. We'll start out with you, Ellen. Tell us about motherhood, grandmotherhood, and then we'll go to Deacon Patrick to get his opinion.
This is probably for the other show, but I was never babysat. I had thought about being a mother. I was going to be a nun. And when I met Pat, I fell in love, and we married, and we didn't think we'd have this many children, but we were open. We were on the honeymoon when we brought home a souvenir. It was Tyler, and we still think that God has His ways, you know. And I had to embrace motherhood with no skills, right, and never an experience. So what happened is that when I wrote my book, Bible Study Wow Mom, A Walk with God, I realized that the Father, you know, God the Father had taught me everything I needed to know about motherhood. So the book is kind of unique in that way. But anyways, we never expect to have 15 grandkids either. So this what I was saying earlier to you before the show is that there's always something going on in the Mongan household during this season, right? Just had Christmas, we had like how many
From
events?
November to January, a lot going on, and birthdays. That's where most of our children were born, in those 3 months. So.
Oh,
But we did have this Christmas, most of us have Christmas. We had family Christmas on the 6th of January, was the 7th, and it was one baby's baptism, Pat baptized baby Aaron, Elizabeth, Vicky. And then we had also an anniversary and just many events. It's like, it's never one event. It's like, you have to always be open to make sure everyone's celebrated. You know how that is. And we have mom living with us now too. That's another.
Our 96-year-old mother is living with us. She's the only parent that we have left. But so, yeah.
oh, God bless her.
Yeah.
Events.
But she loves to be, she was living with her daughter down in Jupiter, and she wanted to come up here because of all the grandkids, you know, and great grandchildren. So she's been enjoying the season very much so. And
being loved up by the kids, you know, they would love seeing her. So, you know, we just all about family. That's our mission. And raising a large family, a lot of times I like to have mothers on the show that have large families because it's a different kind of way of parenting. Like you can't always have the Happy Meal. You have to have the French fries split and the glasses split. So you have to be really creative in your motherhood. And I really do believe in family first, make strong families, make a strong nation for us. And also our strong families is a good example for others that see you. And a strong marriage, of course, right? You have a large family or a strong family with a strong marriage. And that's why I love what you do. I love what you do in your.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that greatly. And for your audience who don't know me, of course, you know, there's a couple of different facets there. I'm the executive director for a nonprofit that helps families in crisis. So families that are going through some kind of crisis or adversities. If your audience wants to learn more, they could just go to the website at nonatus.org. And then, of course, I'm the host of the show, Journeys in Faith, with Patchwork Heart Ministry, Fiat Ministry Network. So thanks for asking about that. But back to you guys.
Well, when you say that, though, I would, you know, add, I mean, it seems to me you must be pretty busy if you're dealing with families in crisis, because it's very difficult in our culture these days, raising a family, much more so than in the past.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We're busy every day, whether it be weekdays, weekends, holidays. I mean, we hear from people, and we're so honored to be able to help and do what we can. Because we were formed through, this is not about us though, this show, it's about you, but we were formed through a religious order. Yeah, the Mercedarian religious order. So so please do, for anybody watching, just go to our website. So thank you for asking about that. Let's go back to you, Deacon Patrick. So what's it been like with your fatherhood? You're a deacon, you're also an MD. Talk about all of that. Tell us about you.
Well, you know, in terms of probably go back, and when we got married, I was not a person of faith. I had been raised in the Lutheran Church and had fallen away. And I thought religion is a crutch for people, and, you know, very intellectual in terms of looking at religion and faith. And if it wasn't for my wife being faithful to the church, I don't know where I'd be. But anyway, and she was very faithful. And so we had a conversion. I had a conversion experience, and it became clear to me, because I wanted to have a very high-powered academic position in medicine. That was my goal. And after my conversion experience, I wasn't interested in that at all. And God led us back to the South, to where I got a position at the Medical College of Georgia in family medicine, and was teaching. And we had 3 children at that time, and felt like we needed to be near family and also find a strong Christian group to be with in raising our children, which there is a community here. It's an ecumenical community, mostly Catholic, but there are Protestants that are also part of it. And we joined that, and we had our own private school. So I thought that was very important in terms of being able to raise your children in a school environment that is based on Christ. So, and yet, a lot of private schools are very expensive and difficult for people to afford. But we were able to do that. And one of the things that I think when you're especially a busy physician is to not bring your work home. So work really hard at that and being involved when you get home. As we used to say, is the work really starts when you get home. Because you may have had a stressful day or tired day, but you need to get in there and get involved with your kids and family. And it takes hard work.
But you know what else too is we just spoke last night. We were with one of our daughters, and her husband lived in the neighborhood. One son also lives in the neighborhood, and one daughter's moved from our neighborhood down to Florida. And we talked to them about when you're parents, you start being the parent and you're guiding them and teaching them, training them in virtue and sacraments and the church. And then you begin to become their intercessor, because now they're growing. And the father was saying really with wisdom that, you guys are over 21, 4 of their children over 21, and now it's your turn to do it. And you have to, you go, the Lord heals the heart. There's mistakes you make as parents. We all have made them. And we aren't responsible once they're a certain age, unless you're abusive or something, which we're not. But then it's their turn to go and do it. And you become the intercessor. So I'm an intercessor. I spend more time praying for my children. I used to call them every day. Yeah, my grandchildren are praying for your grandchildren now. I got a great book on that. But used to call my kids every day, and I was in Florida, and now we're back in Georgia. And I'd say, how you doing? And one kid thought he was lonely. I go, no, I'm trying to see, what do you need prayer for? We're the intercessors for their soul. God gave us a soul to raise and form in Him. Our object as parents is to get them to heaven, the grace of God, by prayer and example.
Jesus' job to get them to heaven, but we can help or not, and so we want to be useful instruments for getting them there.
And Pat has had the blessing. When you're a deacon, there's a lot to it, more than the wives that are not deacons. That's what we do the show, Deacon and Dear. And one of the things we do is we get to, Pat gets to baptize the children, marry some of our children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things, it's such a gift that when you see how it works, it's a lot of sacrifice to be a deacon or to be a dad of many children. But the joy of it, we have this one daughter, Caitlin, and she comes to Mass with me occasionally when Pat's on the altar. This is a very big diocese, deanery, so she has choice of churches near her, but she has 2 babies, Maggie, who's like 4 now, and Troy, the boy, who's like 2, and she'll bring him to church, and the joy they have of seeing Papa's up there on the altar, and they're little, but they just know that they're loving church. Okay, they're in love church, so they see their granddad up there on the altar, who we call Papa, right, Papa. But they love holding the rosary, and sometimes they do throw it over the pew, and it's not to be sacrilegious when you're 2, and then we get it. And when Pat was a young dad, we had lots of young children. Instead of putting them in the cry room and saying, we're going to let them be tamed here, we brought him in the church, and he was like the human tree, and they learned to love church.
I spent a lot of time in the narthex,
Joy.
or carrying them around, and because we had a speaker, so I could hear Mass. But we didn't want the children, even though it was a child-friendly church, we didn't want them disturbing everybody else. So.
We did want them to love church, and they did love church. First, he did take the kids out in the soccer field.
So when I retired, then I thought about really in terms of, as I planned to retire, becoming a deacon. And because and actually I thought I was too old to really become a deacon at the time, but my pastor said, you apply.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The 2 of you are such a great example. And I have to say, as we talked about, because I am the executive director for Families in Christ, an organization that helps families going through adversities. You show that joy. I'm sure that you've been through tough times, and you continue to go through challenging times, but because of your faith and because of your solid
Right.
prayer and family background, that you're able to join together and support one another. It makes such an amazing difference, doesn't it?
Amen.
So many things
Sure
though
does.
that people don't realize, even just adding grandma to the family, right? Everything's an adjustment. You bring home a new baby, adjustment, Pat retiring, it's always an adjustment in price, and you have to, you know,
Mhm.
we band together. We met Deacon Harold. I don't know if you know Deacon Harold.
Yes.
We love Deacon Harold. And I went to him and I go, how do you keep your marriage intact with, you know, you traveling all over? It's like, no way. And Pat travels like, I'm in a suitcase, if nothing else, I'm following him. But he said that they pray every morning. So Pat and I began a time of saying, when we leave the bed, we say prayers most of the time, unless one of us wakes up later. And then we have prayer time at 8 o'clock or 8:30 with mom. She's loved having come to our prayer time. And Pat teaches us from the homily he would have preached had he been at the mass to be on the altar. And then we also read books together. We're reading Mother Angelica's book right now about questions you'll have in the faith. And we just take that time before we begin our day.
Yeah, and one of our daughters actually sent a little book that has a prayer each day for grandchildren.
Amanda, yeah.
So I sent a picture of that to all the families that have kids, and said we're doing this every day for our grandchildren. So yeah, we have lots of opportunities to pray.
And we have good opportunities to be a good example. We're blessed to have. We had lots of more family in the neighborhood too. Actually, did move to Florida. It's the weather, or else it's something they don't want to go down there. But we had opportunity to have family dinner every Sunday. It's every Sunday. Usually Charity will host it. When Taryn was here, she took a turn, and we take a few turns. We have a smaller house, so we have Sunday dinner that everyone gets together, and there's grandkids. You never know who's going to show up out of the family, or even friends. And the old-fashioned ways, a lot of times people don't like them, but for me, I'm an old-fashioned girl, so I like everyone get together. Food's not my big thing, but I do like them gathering together and the stories they tell. Like one little girl's dating someone, we pray for her and the relationship. You just never know what God's going to bring to your path, and they live the same, but sometimes they'll stop by. It's just, family is the most important
Yeah,
thing.
and we pretty much insisted when the kids were growing up that they'd be there at family dinner on Sunday, even all their activities, and we tried to make sure as much as possible that even during the week that the kids were at dinner time, because we see how, these days involving the kids in so many activities that, as Ellen says, the family is all over the place, traveling or not really getting together as family. And that has actually been shown, by studies, that very important.
Oh, absolutely. Very, very important. We have a whole lot more to talk about. Now, we do have to take a really short break. So stay with us, because when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about their podcasting and about their new book. So hold on tight. We'll be back in a few. Welcome back to Journeys in Faith on this Friday evening. Thank you so much for joining us for Ellen Mongan and her husband, Deacon Patrick Mongan, MD. I should mention that too, as we talked about in the beginning. And during our first half of the show, they talked a lot about their life, their faith, their mission, and, just some pointers about family life and how to build a really wonderful family life, because that's what they have with not only their children, but now their grandchildren too. And let's talk about your podcast. Now, you mentioned the one that's called Deacon and Dear. I believe that's the newest one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about First of all, where can people watch watch or listen? Is it audio or both audio and video?
Yeah, it's video.
Okay.
So yeah, Ellen's, she has this channel now. She's got several podcasts there, and so we just added to it with she and I giving talks together.
And we're going to start having guests on because we know so many couples around the world, and we want to have different ones on with us. But it's on YouTube under Ellen Mongan, and it is Deacon and Dear, because so many people misunderstand about what's the role of the deacon. Like, for one thing, is if I were to die, Pat can't remarry. So whatever, I think they all know who's looking deacon. I think I'll get to meet Deacon Pat. But he really can't, that's one of the things of being a deacon, and so that's kind of like a big commitment. And so Pat takes good care of me. He keeps me alive.
I try.
I fell this week and I have an arm, I can't lift this. So Pat's lifting the books. I slipped on a marble floor. So Pat's been having to even dress me. That's why I have no makeup, no jewelry. I'm just going, well, Lord, here I am.
Oh,
Do your will. No, it happens. These things happen. We're older. Pat's 76 this year and I'm 69. So we've been doing this a long time. We've married 48 years, but this is the first time we've done this kind of ministry together. We've always taught engaged weekend or marriage.
Yeah. And frankly, to me, it's kind of a challenge in terms of doing video, because I'm used to, teaching to people and getting feedback from people. So I find it a little difficult, but the fact that I'm doing it with Ellen, there's the feedback between each other. But I like to teach an audience and interact with them and let them ask questions and get involved. And so a lot more difficult to do.
It's me, audience of one, and God. He's listening. Well, we've had fun with it because we talk about every different subjects, not just being a deacon. And we talk about marriage being opposites attract and then drive each other crazy. That's, if you want to check it out, Catholic Mom has one of our Deacon and Dears on there. I think it was a couple months ago, and just by Ellen Mongan, you'll see it. And we have enjoyed meeting people all around the country, like I said, and we encourage people that if you're going to be a deacon in the Catholic Church, there's much to be thinking about before you just say, yeah, I want to do that.
But I would like to put in a plug for people, is that it makes sense. And there were a couple of doctors in my class,
right.
And there's more and more physicians who are becoming deacons. And if you're a very people-oriented person, and been interacting with patients in your faith, then you have a lot of skills already that really fit with the ministry of being a deacon, that transfer right over to ministering as a deacon.
And there's Catholic
wow. I never heard that before. That's good advice. That's good words of wisdom for people to hear. And I hope people go and watch your podcast, not only the Deacon and Dear, but all of the other podcasts that you have on the YouTube channel at Ellen Mongan. So let's talk about your writing, if we could. Can we talk about your new book? I'd love for people to see that book. I know you have it right there. So it's called For the Mountaintop Retreats. Wow, this is going to be interesting. Let's hear about the book.
Okay, and then I'm sorry to talk over you. I talk. For the Mountaintop was written because it's a journey. I like yours, this journey of faith. It was a journey we took, my three best friends and myself, for 30 years to go on retreat together once or twice a year. We're all mothers from Hallelujah Community in the day. We all so much left since then. And we actually went on retreat, left our children behind with the good husbands, right? And enjoyed time at the beach, even though it's called For the Mountaintop. We actually went to the beach and we spent time
and the mountain too.
Well, not as often. We all like the beach. We're all Florida girls in our heart. And so we spent time not only just having fun together. We always say the book lays out a plan of what we did, and it talks about how no group is going to be the same as ours. It's your individual walk. And at the back of the book, my son Tyler, who's our souvenir from honeymoon, I was saying, he actually told me that to put more in the 8 steps of how to get to the mountaintops for them to have their own mountaintop retreat. So it starts out with my journey, how I met the Lord and my walk with the Lord. And then I met up with my 3 friends and we joined our lives together in a way to go on retreats. And then it talks about a Bible study, how you too can have a 4th mountaintop retreat. So that's pretty much it. It's at Barnes & Noble and it's also at Amazon. But I also wrote another book this year, and it's my favorite one because I wrote with my grandchild, Ella Young, and I She's an excellent creative spirit. That was hardback. It comes in hardback or soft, and it's Who Will Wear the Crown, and
Wow.
it's a story of many facets. It's a story of like one gal who had a strong faith in Jesus and loved the Lord, and then one little boy. You know, we all have those little not so much well-wishers in our life, and he would make fun of her because he wanted to have a crown. He didn't believe that she had a crown from Jesus. And, you know, we all know that we have a crown on our head. One day we present it to Jesus, but with the jewels done, with things done out of love for Christ. So it kind of puts a Bible story with a fable. Yeah, but the fact that I like about it is that Elle and I joined together, and at the back of the book, there's a crown. So moms can make a crown for their children, put the little jewels as they do kind deeds out of love for Christ, because no one does things for Christ to earn it, because Jesus did the ultimate sacrifice for us. So it's a great book. It's my heart, to be honest. You know, I've never written a children's book, Anne. I don't know if you have, but it's actually much easier than doing the 4-page book.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
Oh, that's amazing. And you said your granddaughter, correct?
Yes, when she was little.
And how old is she now? Your
She's old
granddaughter?
now.
She's in high school.
Now,
She's in
but
high
still-
school. Oh, she's probably so proud of that, to have worked with you on this.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's a nice, like, it's like a lasting legacy of something that will
Amen.
continue to be here in many, many years to come. And so I congratulate you for all of your great work. For people who want to buy your books, can they go to Amazon and just key in your name? Will all the books pop up? I think that's
Yes,
the way
they
it
will.
works.
Yes, because I wrote Well, Mom, A Walk with God as well. That's for moms that want to be better creative mothers. You know, not that I did it better than anybody, I did it more creatively, I think, and with scripture based. My whole life is scripture based. So, hey, I think that's great. I told all the grandkids they could have a turn. If you want to write a book with Nana, then you write one too. So there's no joke.
You never know. Maybe there's still time, right?
Right.
There's still time. That's so great. Let me ask you a question. This kind of just came into my mind for our audience, somebody who might be watching this show and thinking, oh my goodness, I would love to have that type of life, that type of family life, that type of community. But maybe they've gone through some challenges. Maybe they're a person who maybe was divorced or something, and an old, or maybe they're a person who, they've had some major family crisis. Maybe there's some kind of an addiction in the family, or the husband or the wife, or would you have any advice for somebody like that who would love to just be there the way that you are, but maybe they just don't have the tools to get there? Or do they just need to kind of accept their circumstances and just trust God and move forward with wherever they are? And then maybe we'll see where God provides, right?
Yeah, well, you know as well as I do that there's no easy answer to that question.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to, obviously you've got to turn to the Lord in prayer and listen for the Holy Spirit to guide you, because the Holy Spirit's the only one who really knows what's going to work for you and help you in your journey and to bring peace. You know, we all have our crosses to bear, and we have to accept that, the fact that, yeah, there are crosses. Jesus said, pick up your cross and follow me, whatever that is, and keep turning to him. I always say, because I teach a course also to deacon candidates about pastoral care of the sick, dying, and grieving, and how you really need to be in prayer if you're going to go help somebody or counsel somebody, to be able to help guide them, because it's really their journey between them and Jesus, and he's the only one who has the real answers. But you can be helpful in helping them discern that. Now, you try to find people in the church and becoming part of a church that's active. That would, something you can do in terms of finding like-minded people, or people maybe have had similar problems. You maybe look around and see if there's a community like Aliyah, because certainly some of the people, they're all being led by the Spirit to find a Christian group who can help them, and some people come in with significant problems and join a Christian community, and they've gotten help over the years.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Process.
And
process. I say different. When I know people that have a wound of the heart, I tell them to go to the Adoration Chapel, because
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
first have a
sure.
wound, like, you're having, your marriages start out, you're married a year, and we all know there's all kinds of things that pop up that first year. But you're going down the road and you have tons of wounds inflicted. You cannot heal your own heart. So I tell women, go to the Adoration Chapel. Don't jump into another relationship, like say it's a divorce situation, and go like, man, I think I'll just pick someone else. You pick the same person almost every time. I love Pat so much. I pick the same kind of guy. I know that, but I'm not divorcing you. I'm fine. But I'm saying you have to heal your heart and don't jump into things. And then what Pat says all the time, remember, pray as if it depended on you, and then do as if it depended on God. In the engagement, we would always say this: how do you keep a marriage healthy? How do you make a marriage work? Like, never stop working at it. You have to work every day. There'll be times Pat and I do a few things to keep our marriage intact. We're not always great at it, Pat will say. We go on a once a week date day on a Friday. Usually we might have to change the day on a Friday because he works on the weekends with being a deacon. And we go away once a month, and that's not in cement, because if we don't go on, I have this rule in, if we don't go on a lot of dates during the weeks that come a month later, we haven't had a date, we go away for a week, because to reconnect isn't just like, hey, honey, look, how you doing? You have to really connect heart to heart. And it's so important to me that I make it like almost like a nicely nagging thing, where I keep going, baby, we need to get away, because it affects your spiritual walk. Don't you think bitterness built up within your soul?
Mhm.
You can't hear God. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
do your ministry, right? See, so we're in the ministry. We know, protect it with prayer and time together, connecting in Christ,
Yeah, and the resources, because for people, a lot of, especially small towns, there's not a lot of places to turn to get help. And we're all walking wounded to some degree. We all
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
wounds, and imperfect people loving each other imperfectly,
Mhm.
and trying to care for, and so finding somebody to help you, to give you counsel, can be very difficult, and you have to be very wise in who you pick, because they may do more harm than good.
Sure.
So that's a challenge.
That's right. That makes complete sense. You guys are wonderful to have on the show. I'm so blessed, and I would like to invite you to come back again. It always goes so fast. Here we are almost toward the end. But I would love to ask you just a couple final words from each of you. We'll start with Deacon Patrick. Anything particular that you want to share before we end?
No, I think that, as Ellen says, it's a journey, and being open to the Spirit, in terms of your family, your professional life, is something you have to work at each day and pray about each day, and be listening and open to God's guidance.
But wonderful advice. And you, Ellen?
I was gonna say, order in life is the thing, to put God first, family second, and then your outside activities. One of the things that you could do is get so busy serving God that you forget that your main role, our vocation, is marriage and family, and then other things come into place. Even people can do that with their jobs, and mentoring couples are very important to us. We don't have a mentoring couple. We have a group, though, that comes over once a month, and they're all healthy marriages that have been around for a long time. We get together them once a month and have like time together just to love the Lord and chat and eat some good food and enjoy one another.
Well, that's great advice. You two are a model couple for our Catholic faith. So thank you for being a guest here with us on Journeys in Faith. And again, make sure that you check out the website at ellenmongan.com. Subscribe on YouTube at Ellen Mongan. Look for her books and watch those podcasts. So we'll see all of you here next week on Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis on Fiat Ministry Network. God bless.
God bless.
Journeys of Faith is a production of Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry. For more information about Journeys of Faith, email info@fiatministrynetwork.tv. And be sure to friend, follow, and like us on social media. Just search Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis.